Welcome. We are recording this just so that you all know. So people that see this video later will know that Josh Mayleaf is not with us and that I'm Suzanne Comer, Secretary of L&D Philly. Glad to have you with us. So to get started, I want to just tell you about some upcoming events. We'll show you on the screen. You just want to click that, go up, workshops and webinars. Yes, that is it. Oops, maybe you have to go and click the orange buttons. There we go. Okay, tonight, we'll get to tonight. The next one is on July 14th. You know how to register because you registered for this. And this is spring cleaning your learning closet any time of the year. Yeah, it's not spring, but it's still spring cleaning at any season. You know, how do you keep everything organized? How do you update? I don't know about you. In my workplace, we try our best to know where everything's located in our files, but sometimes we're not as successful as we could be. Next event after that, so I hope you'll join us. Next event after that is 25 things you did not know PowerPoint could do. This was a popular request to come back. Diane Elkins will be our speaker for that. I've seen her before. She's amazing, does a lot of events for ATD, national events, and she is just really great. So I always see her and come away with so many great ideas. And then there's things going, I'll just do one more just because the title is kind of fun. 5 things Disney taught me about how to engage learners. You know, we all know somebody who went down to Disney to learn about customer service and engagement and just how to be the happiest place on earth. So who doesn't want that? So join us on September 15th. And that is also, all of these are available on Zoom. So if you have colleagues, friends that are outside of the Philadelphia area, they can come join us. And these speakers are from all over the country. And we're even going all over the world now that we can do it that way. So great, that's events. Let's jump over to our sponsors. I want to thank them. First, you get an email every single week from L&D Philly with information, and that email is sponsored by our partner, Degreed. If you want to know more about Degreed, please go ahead, go to our website, and just click on their little logo there, and you can learn a whole lot more. We also have our website sponsor, which is Judge Learning Solutions. Same thing, great sponsor, thank you. And if you want to know more about Judge Learning Solutions and what they do, you can go ahead and get more information. We do have a very quick sponsor video that we want to show.
Oops. Judge Learning Solutions is an award-winning talent provider that has been creating meaningful learning experiences for the financial services, insurance, and banking.
Let's go back next year.
Industries for over 2 decades. Our dedicated team of learning experts, account executives, and training consultants take the time to get to know you and your company so we can address what matters most, improving your business. We support our financial services, insurance, and banking clients by creating customized learning experiences in 3 areas of service. Our staffing services help fill your talent gaps by providing exceptional learning professionals on a temporary or permanent basis. Do you need trainers that understand finance topics like mortgage underwriting and insurance claims? We have the talent that knows the ins and outs of all areas of the financial services industry. The Enterprise Learning Solutions team supports clients during major implementations of change management and company-wide learning initiatives. Need help implementing a new bank teller system? We support change management communication as well as step-by-step training for each position across multiple locations. Finally, our custom learning team creates specialized learning experiences for complex topics ranging from cybersecurity best practices to banking software. For more than 20 years, we have dedicated ourselves to creating excellent learning in the finance industries. It is that dedication and our passion that drives us to help you achieve your talent and performance goals. Thanks for taking the time to get to know us. We'd love to get to know you too. Let's connect to discuss how we can help.
On mute. Thank you, Judge. Our sponsors are what pay the bills so that we can offer low cost or free services and seminars like this to our members. So thank you to all of them. I'd also just like to thank, before we start out tonight, Vicki McDevitt is going to be our producer. Yes, she just waved at you. So thank you. It's so great to have a producer. Any of you have, it's so much easier than when you're speaking and managing the technology all yourself. And with that, I think I might have set a record here, 8 minutes to get through all of that. We had tonight with us Nick Florio, who specializes in that technology and architecture and just all things fun. I've seen Nick speak before, and I walked away with so many notes for the next day that I could apply right away. So it's not theory, it's down and dirty, and what can you do and what can you do today? So that's what I really love about Nick. I'm not going to say more because Nick, I'm going to let you dive in and show them what I'm talking about.
Cool, thank you. We're going to use a bunch of technology tonight to showcase a bunch of different applications. Some of them are free, some of them cost a little bit of money. Some are Mac, some are Windows, some are iOS, some are Android, and we'll kind of share where they're at. Everything that we go through today will, there's links. So as we go through the content, I'll kind of point them out and you can jot them down. Your job over the next hour is to write down 2 or 3 that you must try tomorrow. But we'll go through about 50, maybe a little bit more, depending on how things are going. And we're using some different technologies. So if you have any questions, feel free to chime into the chat. At the end, if we have some time, we'll be daring and invite everyone to unmute themselves and have a conversation. If you want to ask about anything specifically, happy to try and get you guys up and running on all these different technologies. So with that, at the end of the session, I'll ask you can go ahead and click this link, sealworks.team/LDphilly22, and that will bring you to a website that will allow you to download the PDF, as well as link out to all the different tools that we go through over the next hour. So you don't have to go too crazy. One of the tricks that I utilize as I'm going through watching a webinar or participating in an event is I'll use my camera or I'll screen grab whatever's on my screen, just to help me remember afterwards, these are the 3 things that I want to look at or think about after the event. So I invite you to do the same as we go through the content. So one of the fun parts of my job is thinking about all these tools and technologies and getting to play around with all this technology all the time. Is I get to play with all the new toys and utilizing and thinking about how we can actually use them in what we do. So in doing that, there are 6 main areas that we've kind of divided up the applications. The first is, define, which is basically when you're starting a new project, whether it's a course, an application, something for an LXP, or maybe something to use in the classroom. You've got to think about, how is it going to be used, whether you're going to use technology, what might happen. And that's kind of where you spec out everything. We go into communication, and that's if you're working with a team or you're lucky to be working with a couple of people. They might be remote, they might be in the same office or at school. And how do you keep up collaboration? There's lots of cool tools, and my job is to help you make it a little bit cooler tonight, or when you get back to your office or back to your home desk, thinking about all those different possibilities. Managing projects, we'll touch on a couple of tools. The fun part is around creation, collaborating, and creating experiences, helping your learners, get to the content faster, get that help when they need it, and kind of going to that next dimension. So we'll showcase a couple of the newer tools that are on the horizon and some of the things you can start to play with. What's great about all these different technologies is that they are readily available. So if you're hungry to play, we've got a holiday next week. I invite you to play and share what you liked, what you didn't like. I love input, so if you want to chat or at the end, happy to jump on and we can talk about those. So let's jump into some tools to communicate. And first is a warning, just talking about or thinking about these tools were updated as of about an hour ago, so they may be a little bit behind because these things change so quickly. So one of the things, it's easy to get lost in all the technology that's out there. And what's cool though is it's not, if you do a little bit of homework or that define phase, you can start to put everything into little buckets or little areas. So I've done that hard work for you. And these are the current technology tools that you can utilize, and you'll recognize Teams, Zoom, WebEx, all the tools that we've been using over the last several years for online collaboration, training, meetings, and working through stuff. The ones in the middle, you may not have gotten to play with yet. Two of the more exciting tools are AirMeet and Hopin. And what's great about those tools is, especially with the pandemic over the last 2 years, those tools take us to the next generation of collaborating. And what does that mean? That basically means that we have the ability now to, while we're in a meeting, you can have a little tables. So you can actually, rather than just going to a session like this where you're just listening to one person or one thing at a time, with AirMeet and Hopin, you can have 3 or 4 sessions happening at the same time. And it takes away some of the facilitation that's needed, where you're able just to see a bunch of tables and you can just click on a table and it might have little notes like, this is the table talking about using your phone to take better pictures or recording audio for a podcast or whatever the subjects might be. But we'll kind of highlight them as we go through it. But those are 2 tools I highly recommend checking out. We use Slack in our office and I love it. There's some great new tools and technologies they just introduced this past week at their conference. One of the ones that if you've got kids, you've probably heard of is Discord. Or WeChat, which is really popular internationally. Discord started out as a gaming platform, and the company pivoted and created this new technology, which they make available for free, or if you start to pay to unlock features, you can set up a private area for your team or your organization to collaborate, and it might just be to share information, kind of like Slack or Teams, but it has a lot more functionality and abilities, especially around the gaming side. A lot of kids know about that. And then you've got live streaming tools like StreamYard, Crowdcast is pretty popular. Twitch, again, kids are familiar with that, where they're playing video games and they're able to pop up on screen and show off stuff. One of the exciting tools that I love is called OBS Project, and that's one of the technologies that I'm using tonight to hop around on the screen and to be able to showcase different technologies. So here's a camera behind me, and you can kind of see my Mac setup that I have, and we'll come back to that a little bit later on. You're also able to highlight or chime into different areas. So we'll talk about that as we go through it. But what's great is OBS Project is free. You're able to download it on your Mac or Windows computer. And what used to cost thousands of dollars years ago, you're able to utilize for $0. You just have to have some good bandwidth coming into the house or at the office, and a decent computer. Anything over $1,000 should do a good job. But it is a good reason to ask your spouse or to allocate a little bit more money for that extra RAM, extra hard drive space in order to facilitate a better meeting if you need to do that. So one of the more popular tools that we have out there today is Teams, and love to see in chat how many of you are using that every day. One of the features that they introduced right after the pandemic started was the ability to put everyone into a classroom, which is interesting. It's like we're not in the classroom, but we can pretend to be. So you're able to see everyone behind a chair or at a table or in the kitchen. What's nice about these tools is that they work on your tablet, your phone, as well as your computer, and you can jump around between them. The tool that I use every day is Zoom. And the main reason why I use that tool is that it has an annotation feature and it works really well. But what I love about the annotation feature is that as I'm listening to someone talk, they're actually able to draw on the screen, or I'm able to draw on the screen. And rather than going to a whiteboard, it's live on whatever you're sharing. So that really helps us when we're designing or developing new products to focus on that content. And that's something that you might want to look at as a tool or technology. None of the other ones do it, and I don't know why. You all have to go to the whiteboard in order to take advantage of it. The other cool thing is that most of these applications now have a new apps feature. So Zoom calls theirs Zaps. They put the Z in front of the app. And basically what that allows you to do is, rather than asking everyone to go to a Miro board or launch another tool like a Google Doc or an Office Doc, you're able to bring that experience inside of the meeting. And that makes it a little bit easier when you're working with people that may not be comfortable with technology. And it just allows you to facilitate a smoother process as you go through that. One of the other cool technologies is what's called virtual cameras. And that's the technology that I'm using tonight to pop in. So rather than using your Logitech or OBS camera, you're able to set up that software to go to a third-party service or software service like OBS Project, and then you're able to share or hop around. You can see it happening behind me. You can switch which screen you're sharing. And it's a little bit more fluid, and it's a little bit less disruptive because I don't have to be like, wait, let me stop sharing, let me start sharing. It just allows you to kind of work in the flow, which is a lot of fun. So OBS Studio, you can learn about it at obsproject.com. It is free. You can send me $1 if you like it. You don't have to, but it's a great technology. It's a little bit of a learning curve because it has lots of buttons, lots of controls, but there's lots of great videos on YouTube to learn how to do it. If you're stuck, I'm happy to jump on a call and show off how to do it as well. Basically, what it allows you to do is broadcast or record yourself. So here's an example of me recording myself in front of a PowerPoint deck. And basically, what's great about the software is that when you're recording your screen or your software, it's automatically compressed. So you're able to throw that into a Dropbox, a Google Drive, or Microsoft's sharing technology, and share that with your team or peers or your audience. And you can instantly create videos that look great and allow you to take advantage of all that technology. So it's a little bit of a setup, but once you do that, you can basically set up to share any of the tools that you have on your computer. So you can say, bring up PowerPoint, bring up a browser, bring up YouTube, whatever it might be, and you can kind of cue in and out of it. And then you can either hit record, or using that virtual camera, allow you to come in and show it through Zoom or Teams, whatever tool you picked. So here's an example of me at a hotel. This was earlier this year at Learning Solutions in Orlando. But you can see you can resize your screen. So this is using my built-in camera on my laptop. I set up a $30 green screen from Amazon, and you can see it's even wrinkled. But what's cool about that technology is that you're able to instantly, use the green screen filter and cue yourself out. You can see I've got no special lights, and I'm moving my hands around, and you're able to see that quality really well, which is very cool. What's also great then is that you can turn on that virtual feature, so you can put yourself in front of your screen rather than seeing a little square. You can be in the context of the content, and you might have more than one person or two people, and you can kind of pop yourself in and out through different scenes. So some of the gear that you might look at if you're interested in this is having a good microphone, having a good camera, having a good computer, and then lights and a green screen. I mentioned earlier that the green screen tech that I had at the hotel was only $45. It's from eMart, and there's a link on the website resource site where you can learn more about that. If you need a little bit of light, if you're in a darker room or down in the basement, which is where my home office is set up, I have a Logitech LitraGlow, which is $59. What's nice about this is that this just sits right up on your laptop. It's super small, and it allows you to instantly turn it on or off through software, or if you have a little remote control, you can hit that as well. You can also hit it on the back of the device. So here's me just showing how you can turn it on through the software settings, and you can control the coloring or the amount of light, and you can see the difference in the video down below there, how the light is affecting how I look in that hotel room. Another really cool app to check out is called app, and it's mmhmm.app. This is now available on Mac and Windows. It runs about $100 a year, but what's great about the software is it allows you to put yourself into the action. So rather than just being a static box, it's similar to OBS. There's a little bit of money involved, but it allows you to get set up a lot faster because you don't need to know anything about technology. You just pick a camera, pick where you want to be on the screen, and you're able to move around on screen. What's also great is that there's a trial version, so you can kind of play and experiment with the different possibilities there. This kind of overviews how the software works. And then here's an example of me from that hotel room again. And there's some fun things like if you move your hands around or make different symbols, you can have a emoji or a different effect like a telephone or the big hand pop up. You can also see how you can control your background. So here's an example of me putting a Miro board behind myself and then zooming in and out of that software. It allows you to interact and talk while that's happening. So it allows you basically to set up your own studio for about $100 a year. You're able to use your built-in computer. You can even pixelize yourself. Not sure why you'd want to do that. Maybe if the kids walked in, and there's some fun effects as well. Another really cool app that I discovered earlier this year is called Presentify, and this one's $6. It's only available on the Mac, but what I love about it is that we do work with several groups that use Teams primarily as their technology for screen meetings and so on. And Presentify allows you to come in and basically hit a combination of keys and annotate whatever's on your screen. And what's great about this, rather than using a tool like Snagit, where I'm going to capture it and share it, this just lets you annotate whatever's on your screen. You can pick some custom colors. You can draw some arrows. You can draw some basic shapes. So here's me highlighting what I need to have happen during that Teams meeting. There are several tools like this. So the key is finding one that you like. What I love about this one is it doesn't crash the computer, makes it really easy to come in and out of it. And I can just hit a key to turn it on or off. The other thing from a technology standpoint that I would want to invite you to do is add a second screen to your setup. If you're still working from the home office and you just have your laptop, adding a second screen today will cost you anywhere from $100 to a couple $100, but it really allows you to spread out your setup and allows you to be more productive. So even if it's a low cost monitor, you've got one down in the basement you might have put away, plugging that into your computer will just allow you to spread out. You might put your email on there. And if you have the budget, I would say add 2 screens because it, again, just allows you to have that bigger desktop. So here's a photo of my current setup. I call it the Frankenstein setup because I'm constantly tweaking and playing around with it. I've been working on it for 20 years, which is kind of funny to me. But what's really cool is that 2 years ago, the technology to run this setup ran a little over several $1,000s because you need to have a computer that was powerful enough to power all the monitors. What's great is that with the computer technology getting faster and better, you can get a nice laptop that'll support 4 or more screens, which is really great if you want to spread out and you're doing a lot of video or streaming or different kinds of setups that are out there. But the key is, do what makes sense for you. One of the other cool technologies that is out there, runs about $100, is the Elgato Stream Deck. And what's great about this technology is that it plugs into your computer or laptop, and it allows you to set up macros to key into different areas. So here's an example of the Stream Deck XL, and you can see there are several keys. You can color code them. You can add custom icons. And what's great about the software is that you have control of it. So you can see if I click on one setting, you can have folders within folders. And rather than remembering all those keyboard commands, you've got a visual key that you can just touch on that little device, and you can have your lights turn on. You can have a sound effect play. You can have it launching or triggering different commands within your different software packages. You can even have it mute your microphone, and it can be daisy chained, so you can have multiple things happening at the same time. This piece of hardware costs about $100. The XL runs about $200. But if you're doing a lot of functions and you're switching in and out of different programs, highly recommend it because it just allows you to save several minutes a day rather than remembering or checking that sheet where you got to go through 3 different steps. I, set up macros several times a month so that I can, go a little faster if I'm compressing graphics or working with audio or working with video or hosting a meeting. It just allows you to be more productive. One other cool device, if you want to be hip and cool, is the Stream Deck pedal, which is really cool too. It's basically a foot pedal where you can have 3 different keys and you use your foot. So you might have it turn your video on or off, mute. You might have it unlock or lock different content within your board. I use it for Miro while I'm triggering, going from pencil for drawing to locking and unlocking assets for a stakeholder. So it makes it easier for them to jump in, add notes, and not have to worry about those different possibilities. What's great about technology today is it's so inexpensive to play. I mentioned earlier that green screen that is a piece of fabric with 3 pieces of metal that screw together in a couple of minutes. If you want to get something a little nicer, that's $50 to get started with the eMart one. I love the Elgato green screen. It's like an old presentation board. It basically unfolds just by sliding up or down. They've got a 6-foot one and an 8-foot one, so it's really nice if you want to put it behind yourself. We used one in the bedroom while we were all working from home. The kids were home from school in order to be able to present to the students or present to our audiences a little bit better. Those lights I mentioned earlier started at $50 and go on up. Elgato makes a great streamline if you're a series of lights if you're looking to invest and build something in your own little office. Also adding a microphone I mentioned earlier. There's several on the market starting at $20 and going on up. You can also use your buds that might have came with your phone. Apple's were very popular. We had all those microphones that came with our older phones. And they work really well. So just testing and playing and seeing what works best with your voice and the capabilities that you need. Another really cool tool that's out there is Otter AI. And this one is free to play. You can do up to 600 minutes. And what Otter AI allows you to do basically is record whatever's taking place in your meeting. So my Otter follows my calendar around. So whether I'm going to a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, WebEx, it'll follow me and it'll ask if it's okay to record everyone. But when it does that, it automatically transcribes whatever's being talked about. And what's nice about that is that if I do a search, I'm able to find when Nick talked about the Otter tool, and I can click on that word and it will automatically start playing back the audio from that point. So if you're in a lot of meetings with subject matter experts or with facilitators or stakeholders, and you want to become more productive, Otter AI is a great way to record and share. They also have a new collaboration software through their website, which allows you to automatically highlight as the conversation is happening, automatically grab screens. So I can say, grab this screen, grab that screen, and add what they call gems, and it will summarize the meeting through AI. We just started using it about 3 months ago, and I'm really excited about it because rather than having a dedicated person just taking notes, we're able to participate and focus more on the meeting content, and having that a little bit automated has helped us, free up a resource as well. So definitely worth checking out Otter AI. Even if you need more minutes, it runs about $100 a year to unlock it and take advantage of it as well. Here's an example of me using it on my phone. So as I'm talking about whatever I was saying that night, you can see it recording inside the app. It is automatically also transcribed to the web app. And then if I do a search, you can see how it highlights in the app, the web app, and you're able to click that word and it will replay that audio as I mentioned earlier. So really cool, highly recommend checking it out. And some of the tools, like I think Microsoft is working on their own closed captioning tool through their AI technology. But while we're waiting, it's definitely something you might want to check out to be more productive. So one of the other fun apps that is out there, some tools to create and to play. These are really exciting if you are involved in having to create a color palette where you're not sure, you're not good at color, you're not a good designer. One of the cool tools that is out there is called Coolors.co. So COOLORS.co. So you got to remember the name. And what this tool allows you to do is pick colors from your environment, or to randomly pick or based on a color that you have. So let's say a stakeholder gave you a color, or you have it from their logo. You can lock that color in, and as you hit the space bar on your keyboard, it automatically switches the other colors next to it. And as you lock them, you can rearrange them. And then as you hit the space bar, it will pick colors that complement that. So you're pretty much guaranteed that you can pick a nice palette or a complementary palette that doesn't hurt anyone's eyes. So that's nice. You can up your level there. What's also nice is that there's built-in accessibility for eye impairments. So you're able to check to see whether the colors you've selected are accessible, which is really nice, so that if you pick a certain color, maybe a light green or light yellow, that might look gray or may not appear at all to someone that has one of those challenges. So it allows you to check for that as well. What's great about this site is that it's free to get started. And if you want to take advantage of saving palettes or using some of the export functionalities, there is a small fee. But it's pretty inexpensive in the big, scheme of things compared to some of the other tools that are out there. Another really cool web app that's out there is called remove.bg for remove background. So here's an example of a photo of a Lego and of a computer. And you can see that checkered board is where it removed the background. So to kind of walk through it, we can drag and drop a graphic. Here's an example of a little sticky note and my keyboard with a wire on top of it. So when I run it through the software, you can see how quickly it removed that background. So we just upload that graphic, it scans it, and then it removes the background. So really quick. If I was to do that in Photoshop, that might take me several minutes, and I would get frustrated because I don't do it every day. So when you're in a quick hurry and you want to, drop a graphic into Photoshop or your learning tool or on a web app, you're able to do this pretty quickly just by going to remove background and dragging and dropping that image. Another really cool website is autodraw.com. And this one allows you to draw in your scribbly way. And as you draw, you'll notice at the top of the screen, there are icons that are appearing. So as I attempt to draw my airplane, you'll notice that those icons will change, and you can select which one you want to replace it with. And when you do that, it'll automatically swap your drawing to that airplane. If I draw a smiley face, or in this case, I'm drawing a cloud, I can go in and pick one of the default clouds. And what's great is that this is free from Google. And if I want to, I can right click and export that icon or that graphic as an SVG to use in Illustrator or inside of PowerPoint or inside of another tool. So if you want to become a better illustrator, or you just want to brainstorm with a team and not worry about, or you're playing Pictionary and you don't want to worry about, how you're drawing, this is a great tool to experiment. So that's autodraw.com. This one is one of my favorite. It's called clipdrop.co. So there's a shortage of .com names. So you'll notice a lot of these use AI, CO, and several other abbreviations instead. But ClipDrop allows you to use your phone, and basically you can point it at whatever is in your environment. So here's me pointing at my iPad. And what's cool is that when you click snap, it automatically isolates that object from its environment. And I love this. So the nicer the phone you have, the better the job is. So here's another example of my busy, messy desk. And I see that bottle of water. When I click snap, it grabs it and allows me to pop it into my computer. So it connects to your phone and your computer and allows you to instantly transfer from that device to the other device using Bluetooth or the same Wi-Fi network. And again, it works great. You can see that water bottle was on a busy desk with some things around it. The iPad was as well. And it did a great job silhouetting that. This one, I think, allows you to do it 3 times for free. And then it runs about $30 to $50 a year, depending on the number of images that you need. But if you use it once, it'll pay for itself. So if you're, working with, your company might make equipment or selling hardware or software or, physical equipment, you can take a picture and it will isolate it out of that room. I've used it for books, for furniture, and it works really well. Also to impress the kids. Another cool tool is called cleanup.pictures. And this is another website you can play around for free. And what you do is you drag and drop your image into it, and then you highlight. So in the upper right-hand corner there, you see me highlighting the pencil and the protractor, and it allows you to instantly remove that. So let's take that sticky note from earlier. I'm going to highlight that wire. And you can do this in Photoshop. Again, it takes several minutes and you have to have Photoshop. But what's great about this is that everyone can draw. You just draw a line or highlight something, and I'm going to remove the wire behind the sticky note as well. And you can see there's a little bit there, so I can highlight it again, and it will go in and clean that up. So you can play with this for free, and it allows you to do up to a certain resolution. And then if you want to do a higher quality, you can add a small subscription cost to allow you to do higher res if you need to use it to do a lot of images and so on. What's great is that these technologies are coming to both Mac and Windows. So the latest version of Mac's Finder allows you to right-click, say quick actions, and remove backgrounds. So that's my son Adam in our kitchen. And notice that when I right-click and say remove background, it instantly removes the backgrounds. Apple is introducing this technology into iOS 16, which will be out in the fall. So if you have an iPhone, you'll be able to do this with any photo that you have on your computer. Here's another example where we'll remove the background from my AirPods, and you can see it's pretty much instantly, does a great job. And I use this, I'm going to say at least every other day when I'm working on a comp or a wireframe for a new product or project. A lot of times when we download, images or we get images from a stakeholder, we don't, have time to always go in and silhouette it. So this allows us to do it pretty much instantaneously using a Mac. So very cool. So the other area that we want to jump into is collaboration. And this is something that's been really key as we are all working remotely from different environments and different locations, and we might be working at several different places during the day, is that we're looking for tools and technology that make it easier for us to work with people around the world, wherever they are at, to be more collaborative and to get that same in-person feeling, to be more, working through a problem. And one of my favorite apps I discovered about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, is called Miro. And if you go to Miro.com, you can sign up for a free account. And basically what it allows you to do is work with one person, yourself, or a whole team of people. I've had up to 100 people working in it. And it's great for facilitating a workshop, for delivering content, or just brainstorming. So what's cool is that I could have 3 of you working on, let's write a script, 3 of you working on a design, 3 of you working on pulling assets from our current learning project. What's cool is that rather than everyone working independently, we all work together. So here's an example of 50 people. All those little colors on the left-hand side are going to move around, and they're going to jump in, select a sticky note, and start to write down what their thoughts are around these questions. So if you're looking to gather data or brainstorm, it's a great way to be able to collaborate in real time. I like to call those little colors busy bees, because everyone's jamming, doing their thing, and you can sit back and watch, or you can lead or facilitate or participate, which is also great. Miro works on a phone, a tablet, as well as your computer, and it uses web technology to allow you to interact and work with it. A subscription to the service, if you're the host, runs about $100 a year, and you can have as many people as you want inside of it. It also has built-in audio and video abilities. And here you see an example of a mind map that these 3 people are creating together. Each one is working on its own little strand. And if you pan out, what's great is that it's like having an infinite whiteboard. So you can zoom way out or way in into any part. Typically, when we're working on a project, we work from left to right. So as we create content, we kind of show what is happening. And in this case, we were documenting what happened over the last several years for this web-based project that helps kids think critically. So the team can look at where we started, where we are, how the interface has changed, how the functionality has changed. So it kind of acts as a living document for anyone that is getting onboarded in the project to be able to understand how it's grown and where we're going over the next 2 years. Another really cool feature of Miro is that it allows you to capture information. So here's an example where you can do what's called a sticky capture. So I have a board behind me in my office that I have sticky notes on. And if you can't be in the office with me, I can snap a picture, and then it will instantly convert those stickies to editable copy in Miro sticky notes. So you can reposition them. I can invite everyone into it, and you can type or change the copy, which is great. This is me using it on an iPad, so the keyboard's popping up or down. You can change the colors to organize ideals or whatever you're working on this week. You might highlight or move into the active bucket. So very cool. So that's all built into Miro and allows you to participate. This is another example that you can check out. If you go to the URL, it'll invite you into a DevLearn, which is a conference that happens every fall. And this allows you to see the possibilities where we were working with about 50 people in a room, and several of them were using their technology to add, but I was up front facilitating and adding notes. But it basically allowed us to create a live document that everyone can jump in and visualize and see, go back to their office the next week and then utilize to jump into. I want to learn more about UX. What were the technologies that we talked about? And you can jump right into it, which is really cool. There are several other tools that are out there as well. There's Mural.co, which is great if you're doing a lot of facilitating of meetings. There's Lucid Spark, Google's Jamboard, Envision Freehand, and Figma Jam. We've used all of them. We still believe Miro is our favorite internally. Figma Jam is very cool, and they have got some nice features. The nicest feature that I love about it is that it works with Figma, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But they have what I call emoting, and several tools like Teams have copied this functionality, where when you're in a meeting, you can give some love. Like in Zoom, you can give a little happy face or a reaction, but I've got to look up where that is. With these other tools, it appears on the screen, which is great because no one has to take their eyes away from what you're actually looking at. So it appears in the context of whatever you're doing or working on, which is really cool. Another great tool is Figma, Figma.com. And here you can see an example where 3 of my team members are working together to brainstorm some different interactions. So one person is working on copied imagery, another person's working on the interactive elements, someone else is adding the title of that section. So you can have different people working together. And this is one of the most exciting things for me about the technologies, since I've been doing this for 28 plus years now. We used to email files, we used to upload them to different tools. With these next generation of tools, we just send a link and everyone's working live. So we're able to see the latest version when we click the link. I don't have to be like, hey, Molly, is that the latest version? Or hey, Jim, can you email me that document? Everything is working from the internet, from the cloud, and it allows us to all focus on our job, whatever we're trying to design or create for. Another really cool tool that I discovered about a year ago is called Typeform.com. And we've used tools like Google Forms, Microsoft Forms. There's good old ones like SurveyMonkey, all really cool. What I love about Typeform is it's kind of like the next gen of surveying tools. And what's great about this tool is that it allows you to use one of their templates, which look nice. You can also utilize video, which is kind of fun, and you can utilize your own graphics. But what's really cool is that you can embed the forms inside of your project. So if you're working on an e-learning project, rather than having someone click a link and go to another window, you're able to embed these objects or these forms on top of your learning or within your application. So rather than spending money or resources, pushing people around in different directions, you're able to make it look like it's integrated into your tool or your experience. So this is a lot less disruptive and makes it easier, or it allows you to get a higher response rate because it's happening in the context of your project. So I highly recommend checking out Typeform. It's also pretty inexpensive, about $100 to $200 a year, depending on the number of users that you want creating forms and the number of respondents you want filling them out. I think for that $150 to $200 range, you can have tens of thousands of users responding a month. And then, depending on your usage, that price will go lower or higher. Another really cool app that they introduced over the last year is called videoask.com. And this is basically a video-based form. So if you want to take that next level where you can pop up on screen with a video saying, hey, how are you? Let's start the process. And then your participant will answer with audio or video using their phone or their web camera on their laptop. So what's great about this is that in the old days, if we were to create this for you, it would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to develop a custom solution. But today you're able to, license this and have something up and running the next day. And with everyone having a phone or tablet or computer at their home or at their desk, it allows you to take advantage of these technologies pretty inexpensively. If you're looking for a way to interact and move data or automate the movement of data, there's a tool called Zapier, which allows you to come in and say, I'm going to email you. And when Michelle emails me, automatically create a task in my project management tool, or automatically add that note to the Slack channel and send me a text to remind me to get back to her by tomorrow. So if you're looking for ways to automate those different processes, Zapier is a really cool tool. DoubleTake is another iOS-based application. And what's great about this is that it allows you to utilize both cameras on your phone, the front and the back at the same time. So this is a streaming talent. I'm forgetting her name right now. If anyone remembers, added into the channel. But she's interviewing her sister using her iPhone. It uses that front and back camera at the same time. So it allows you to, rather than having two cameras or two setups, if you're doing an interview, you can do it a lot easier with one device. So if you have a iOS or an iPhone, I think it's 11 or higher, 12 or 13, it allows you to take advantage of this app for about $20. Rather than having two cameras and two microphones, you've got one device in between you, and it allows you to record front and back at the same time. Very cool. Another great app is, this one's free, Adobe Capture, which is available for iOS and Android. And what it does right out of the bat is it allows you to take a picture of whatever's around you. So if you point it at a toy, in this case, it will pull the color palette from that toy. So you see the color palette at the top of the screen. And what's great is that if you are an Adobe Creative Cloud member, you're able to take that information and save it to the cloud and utilize it in Illustrator or Photoshop. What's also cool is that it captures things from flowers or your backyard, or if you're at a museum or the art museum in Philly, you're able to grab those different color palettes and utilize them on your project. If a stakeholder gave you a brochure, they weren't able to give you the brand guidelines, you can take a picture of that and then pull the colors, instantly. So you don't have to think or wait for them to get back to you. You can start working on different things. What's also really cool is it will identify fonts. So here's me taking my phone, pointing it at the Apple website. And when I highlight the area that I want, it will automatically allow me to come in and learn what font it is. So I don't have to be an expert or ask, what font is that? I just point my camera at that font and say, what font is it? And you don't actually have to say it, just click the button and it will identify the font for you. What's great is that, again, if you're a Creative Cloud member, it will take you to the Adobe Fonts library where you can instantly activate that font. It is, if it's one of their library elements, which you get several hundred as part of the Creative Cloud. Another really cool tool that's out there is Descript. And this is an amazing app. We've been using it for about 2 years, and it's kind of like a Google Doc, but on steroids. Basically, what it allows you to do is record audio. And as you're recording audio, it transcribes it up above. I can invite several of you into this project, and you can be all editing the copy. And what's cool about this is that if you highlight a word and delete it, it automatically deletes it in the audio. So you don't have to highlight the audio wave or click the space bar and highlight and look for or listen. You just delete the word by double clicking on it, hit the delete button, and it instantly removes it from the audio. So it saves a lot of time. They're also working on a video functionality and the ability to simulate your own voice. They call that technology overdub. So I'm going to go ahead and cue it.
I should probably get it.
So I don't know if you guys can hear it. I think you can, but it said I should probably get a haircut. So if I go in and highlight that copy and I said, instead of I want a haircut, I'm going to say go bowling. I hit generate audio. It will use the audio that you've uploaded to their site and allow you to simulate that audio of your own voice. You can only use it for your own voice. But it is really cool, really amazing. We've heard of these different things and, voices being dubbed in on different people's faces. and that's for bad, but we can also use it for good. And I think it's going to be really powerful because when you're in a tight timeline and you can't get that audio talent, you're going to be able to re-record through typing rather than going back into the studio. So very cool. That's Descript. Another really cool tool that's part of the Creative Cloud is Adobe Character Animator. And what this does is it uses your camera on your device, your phone, your laptop or your computer. And notice that little character up there in the corner. I had a little bit more hair back then. And so as I move myself around, notice it automatically ties my movements to the character. So you can buy different characters from the Adobe library. If you're an Adobe Illustrator artist, you can also create your own set of screens or movements, and it'll map automatically as you open and close your eyes or your mouth. Notice how the character, I'm going to call it the little lobster monster, moves around and does a little jam based on your movements as well. So very cool. And again, several years ago, this would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to do, in a Hollywood studio. And now you're able to do it for a piece of software that's a couple $100, which blows my mind because this is always fun stuff that we want to do with kids. Another really cool app that's out there is called Explain Everything. And this one works on iOS as well as Android. And basically it allows you to record whatever you're doing on your device. So you can bring up a web screen, you can bring up a website, you can bring up a course, and you can move it around on the screen. You can also annotate it and you can hit the record button. So as you're annotating and moving it around, doing whatever you want to do, whether you're using it for creative purposes or for feedback, it'll allow you to record your audio as well. And then you can save it as an MP4 video file and email it to your team so they can actually see what you want or that change or what's happening on your web device when you're interacting with it. What I love about this app is it's so easy. You just click launch and you're able to draw or interact with it. So I'm going to attempt, let's go crazy. And here you see my iPad. So I'm going to launch Explain Everything, and I can bring up a blank canvas. And what's cool is that, again, I'm going to hit that record button in that lower right-hand corner. And when I do that, I can say I'm going to draw and I'm going to write the word hello and a little squiggly line underneath it. So if I stop that, I can rewind and scrub through it. And notice how you can watch it and it will play back your audio. And if I were to take time, or if I was actually an artist, I can use it to annotate information. I can just hit play. And again, because it's recorded, I can save that and email that to you or throw it into Dropbox or onto Slack or Teams, whatever. And what's great about that is that, again, a couple of years ago, I would have to do that frame by frame or use thousands of dollars of software to do it. And you saw how quickly I can do that just using my Apple Pencil and my tablet. So really cool, the different powers that you have. Here's an example of annotating a scene at the ATD conference right before the pandemic started. So I'm just highlighting, they had some really cool colors and microphones. So I just wanted to capture that and talk about it. Here's looking up from holding an iPad and just highlighting the ceiling of my office. I've got some weird lights and weird wood ceilings. So some other things that you can do with these technologies is collaborate with notes. If you have OneNote, this is another application that allows you to share information collaboratively through a note. So if you have a OneNote, you can invite your team, your family, your peers. And what's great is that you can have photos, text, graphics, and you can use a pencil or a writing device to capture that information. You can even share audio and video. And what's great is that as I add a note, you add a note, or we are collaboratively capturing what happened in the meeting, we're all able to see that at the same time. And it's empowering because I can see what you're thinking or what you're writing, and I can focus on the next thing, or I can draw a little sketch while you're capturing what they're asking for. I can help visualize it because I'm on the art side. So really cool, the different possibilities. Another great app is Nebo, and this one works on Windows, iOS, and Android, and basically will automatically take your scribble writing and translate it to handwriting. Apple's iOS also does this now. Microsoft also has some technology that works with the surfaces. This one, it's been around for several years, so there's some unique technology as well. This one also allows you to draw a org chart as an example, or a map, and it will automatically take your square, rough square, and make it nice and straight. It'll take your handwriting and make it nice and straight. So if you're looking for little shortcuts to be productive, works really well as well. Being a Mac guy, I love the iPad. Even if I wasn't on a Mac, I would still love the iPad because it lets me be creative and focus on the different possibilities. One of my favorite apps is called Notability. They are now cloud-based as well. It used to be like $10 and you owned it. Now I think it's like $20, $30 a year. But what you can do is scribble down your notes. You can also record the meeting if you have permission, and you can scrub back through. So if I click in that audio, it will take me to what I was writing or drawing at that time. You can also sketch out different ideas. And here's an example at a keynote. I was taking pictures with my phone and I pulled it into a Notability document so I can capture and take notes of what they were saying and what they were highlighting. And what's great is that the technology will automatically sync to my phone, my tablet, and my desktop device. Okay. So a couple of tools to define. One of my favorite is a free app. It's called Microsoft Lens. And Microsoft Lens works on iOS as well as Android. It basically lets you use your camera to snap a picture. So on the left, you see a picture of a document on a desk. When I click snap, it automatically straightened out the document and made it look like I spent several minutes getting it exactly aligned. On the right, you see a board that was drawn on during a meeting. When you snap that picture, again, it automatically straightens it out. So if you're at a conference, if you're watching TV, if you're working with someone in a room, you can use this to automatically capture an invoice, capture some notes, capture a board that you're working on together, and it will automatically straighten it. It will automatically save to your photo library, and you can email it. If you have a Microsoft license, you can automatically save it to the cloud or bring it to Word or Excel or whatever. So here's an example of me taking a picture of my business card. I snapped those. There were 3 cards there, a little bit trickier, and it automatically straightened it out so I can utilize it to share with someone. Another cool app is the Google app, which is part of Android, but on the iOS device, you've got to install it. And what the Google app does is allows you to utilize Google services. What we don't often see is that there is a camera button. And if you hit the camera button, you can take a picture. So here's an example of me taking a picture of my boot. This was at DevLearn. And when I snapped that picture, it automatically searched the web and found boots that were closest to it. I think it was about 3 years old, so they don't make that model, but they identify ones that are close, so I can scrub through that. I believe it's a Merrell boot, so I could click to isolate those or scroll down and see ones that I like. Here's an example. Back at home on my desk, I have a Tigger cup, my coffee cup, and so I'm able to take a picture of it and then see if that coffee cup is still available. It's got a couple of chips on it because it's a couple years old. So if I want to replace it or find the latest version, we can do visual searches is the point here. This is free. So if you're looking for a replacement part, you're trying to identify the kid's toy that they're playing with or that they broke, take a picture of it and it will search the internet rather than remembering that's model A or Club C. It will automatically search and look for things that are similar. Taking that to the next level and combining several of these tools, there's a new app that's currently in beta called Reality Scan. And what this app allows you to do is automatically generate 3D objects from a physical object. So here you saw that woman walking around her chair. It created a 3D model with the fabric of the chair, and then they were able to place it into a 3D app and create an animated scene with that chair in there. That's mind-blowing to me because that used to cost or take several days of time to create or generate. And now you're able to do that so quickly using a app on your phone. So really mind-boggling. Some other cool things with augmented reality. This is on the forefront, where we're headed. Google Translate's an app we've all played with or seen over the years. And what Google Translate allows us to do is translate whatever we type in. So I want to know how to say fun in Italian, it will translate that for me, or I can say a sentence, it will translate it. Did you know you can hit that little camera button that we see up above here? And when you hit that, you point your camera at whatever you're reading, whatever you're seeing, and it will automatically translate it for you. So here's an example of me pointing my phone at this web app, and it's automatically translating, trying to match the font and the style, and applying it to that real-time translation, going from English to Spanish. So as a first generation, kids were able to use this to understand the content in their native language, which is really cool. Until we had the ability to translate it for them, they were able to use the phone app to do it on the fly. We hear lots of stories where people are traveling the world and pointing at a menu and it's automatically translating to English or whatever language you want to go to as well. Another really cool app that you can play with is Adobe Aero. And here's an example behind me where I'm in my basement and I'm going to insert a augmented reality object. So that little toy robot is on my desk, but it's not really. And using my phone, I'm able to take that 3D model that I was playing with in Aero and place it on my desk. And when the kids come in or I'm demonstrating to someone how I move my phone around, I'm able to look behind it, in front of it, to the side of it. And that technology is just going to get better and better. Aero is free to experiment with, and it's part of that Creative Cloud. So definitely check it out. If you're interested in creating your own augmented reality, there's one special program currently called ZapWorks. It's an app that works on Mac and Windows. It runs about $200 a year. And depending on the number of units that you need, it allows you to create augmented services for your clients or for your team or for your participants at your office. So basically, you're able to launch ZapWorks Studios, create or take one of their objects and place it in your environment. And you can also, create cross-marketing. So here you see an example. When you point the camera, there's a heart down below. You can actually see a helmet on your head, or you can see different items or going to a website and so on. So you have different ways to interact with people, allowing them to move around an object or see it from different sides and so on. So if you go to zapworks.com, you can download a trial version, play around with it, and see some of the functionality that's available. I think you guys just had a speaker last month, and you can probably see the recording if you're an L&D Philly member. Virtual reality is also a technology that is changing rapidly. It seems like it's forever, but it's actually happening pretty quickly. So the current technology that everyone's excited about is Facebook or MetaQuest now, which used to be called the Oculus. And what's great about this technology, for $300, you're able to put on I call it a helmet, but it's basically eyewear. And you're able to use the controllers. You can also use your hands. And here's an example of a free app called Tilt Brush, which allows you to paint in 3D in your room that you're in. We've done this over the last several years at the science fair with elementary school kids, and it's a blast. When we did it prior to the pandemic, we had the wired version, and we had to bring in hardware that was about $10,000 a year in order to run the equipment. And we had little ones like 10 years old, 8 years old, playing around. I remember one really tall girl, a young girl, jumped in, and she was about 5. She snuck in, and we said the cutoff was 8, but she started spinning around and around, and because of the wires got all tangled up, she didn't get hurt, and she did an amazing painting, which was really cool and fun. But I'm excited to get back there next year, because the Oculus or the technology today is all wireless. It uses your phone to download and install software. So the wires are gone, which is great. And the technology is just getting better and faster. Is it going to replace everything? No. Is it exciting and fun? Yes. And there are definitely applications. The key thing you need to learn at or play around with is that if you think you have a fit for it, I would invest in the technology, start to experiment and play, and then look at the different tools and technologies that are out there. This is one of my favorite examples, which it merges the two technologies together, augmented and VR, where basically you would hand out glasses to all the kids let's say in the middle of Arizona, where they might not have been to an ocean or Ohio. They had never been to a beach, and they'd never seen a whale at a museum or an aquarium. But we can actually see that whale appear within our gym to understand the scale of what they look like, and what you might see if you get the opportunity to go to an aquarium. So that really excites me from an educational standpoint. This was a demonstration from the Magic Leap team, which was a piece of hardware that was several $100s, but over time we'll see those things get cheaper and cheaper and higher quality, which is very exciting. So one of the things I'm going to wrap up with is reminding you to take cues from everything around you. So whether it's something you saw tonight, something you see tomorrow at the office, think about what those things are. And I keep this on my desk to remind me, like when I'm watching TV with a little one, I'll think about what I see, what I hear, how did it make me feel, and can I learn anything from it? And I think about, was it good or bad? And what can I pull from that? Because I want to apply that to my next project or my next experience that I'm creating. And you can learn a lot from that, whether you're grabbing a screen through your screen grab utility or Snagit, or use your phone and just snap a picture as well. Here's an example from the Franklin Institute. We were visiting there with Paris, and this was basically teaching kids about design thinking as well as adults. And it was sponsored by Crayola. It ran last year. And what was really exciting is that they allowed kids to learn about the process. And I was like, this is what I do every day. But they didn't want to hear that. They just wanted to draw and have fun. But they had some really cool technology, and kids had to solve problems like, what happens if there was a shark in the backyard? How would you get past it? And they'd have to, draw out or sketch out different ways that they might build a bridge over it, or dig out a river and they would move it down into the ocean, or get a truck. But as they drew out their ideals, they were able to put them up on the wall, and you could see what other people were doing that day as well. So lots of fun and lots of opportunities to learn. Some tools to keep up. One of my favorite is called Feedly.com. And this app allows you to pull in data from around the internet. So whether you're interested in business or design or education, it will automatically pull the best stories, and you can share or copy them, or pull them back out to what you're doing. So remember, your job is to connect the dots. We went through lots of different tools, lots of different technology. Your job is to think about one or two that you want to play with over the next 2-3 weeks, let's say 30 days, and test them out, experiment, share it with your team. I would love to hear about it. If you want to tweet or email, I'm happy to hear about it. Hopefully you learned about one or two things that get you excited and want to utilize technology. Again, your homework is to experiment, get your hands dirty. So testing it out on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. And again, you can play with the trial version, or several of the apps that we talked about are free. Remember, if you go to sealworks.team/ldphilly.22, I'm going to copy that link into the chat area. So you can actually click that link and you can get to it. And that will allow you to download the presentation as well as get to all the different resources. There's a couple additional slides in the deck, but I'm going to wrap up and see if anyone has any questions. I thank you for attending as well. It's late on the East Coast. So I'm going to go back into, let's go up here. I'm going to unpin myself. And if anybody wants to come off mute, feel free, and happy to answer questions. Or you can type it into the chat if you don't want to come up or speak. So I'm going to hit remove pin, and we can see everybody.
Yeah, no questions in the chat. So if anyone wants to come off mute, go ahead.
Nick, this is Mary. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, Nick. So just wonderful, just overwhelmed, cannot play with everything. Some of the presentation tools that you mentioned about creating something and dropping it into however you're going to disseminate it, do any of them have any capability of capturing who views it or for how long? I work in a college, and that happens where we want to know, did the students actually watch it?
Great question. So there's no simple way of knowing that. There are several platforms like Loom. Like if you share a video, it will capture who looked at it, and students or adults can add comments while they're watching it, kind of like YouTube. The professional answer today in L&D is using XAPI. Basically what that allows you to do is add some code around your document, around your video, around your course, around your application. And as someone launches it, as they click, as they interact, as they go away, it can start a timer. It can record what they did, how they did it. We just did this with the American Red Cross. It is time consuming. We had an opportunity to work with Amazon as well, and they went to create what they called a data lake, and they went to record everything. And they were like, the lake is full, you got to empty it. And we're like, what? Like, you're Amazon. But so like the challenges are, you have to define what you actually want to record and how you're going to use it. And it is experimenting, but what is great is that XAPI is free, like SCORM. And Torrance Learning, Megan Torrance, amazing resource. I'm sure she's been here before, but they run the XAPI Consortium, which I believe just got bought by the Learning Guild. So if you type in XAPI Consortium, I'll add the link to the document. You can join that online collaboration for free, and you get teamed up with 2 or 3 people, and you create a project, but you learn how to create XAPI. And some people do really cool, crazy things, and some people, just learning the fundamentals. So you come in where you're comfortable, but you will definitely learn, and they don't charge anything, which is really amazing.
That's a real help. Good. I'll follow up on that. Just so you know, we use Canvas as our learning management system.
Right.
They actually do have a product called Studio where they have seen that need. So
Okay.
you buy it separately and it's in, and somebody did define what do you want to find out? How do you want to use it? But you're kind of limited to either a screen recording kind of a thing through Canvas Studio. That's it. Yeah. But thank you very much.
Yeah, there's another cheat way. It won't do everything that you want, but if there's a service called Blink, BL.INK. So if you want to know if a student clicked a link, it won't tell you what they did in that link, but at least it gives you some data. It's really inexpensive, like maybe $100 a year, but it also allows you to create custom URLs. So like the link that I sent tonight is branded as Steelworks. You can create, your name or your school, university's name, and you can then see the data on it.
Okay.
As a really quick, easy way.
Easy way. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who else? I'm gonna cry. No, it's good. Let's go. All right. Hopefully, I'll give you another 30 seconds. Jump in. Anyone?
Hey,
Hi,
Nick.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So I tend to work with a lot of adults who have very, very limited tech experience.
Mhm.
So for some of the interactive tools like Mentimeter and things like that, are there any that you would say are easier or more difficult? Because if I have to spend, several hours just trying to get people to be able to figure out how to work it, it's not worth it.
Yeah. There are 3 or 4, including Mentimeter, that I have in there. None of them are great. I've done it.
Yeah, I
several
don't like
times.
Mentimeter.
Okay. Yeah. I've done it with like 10 people, with 100 people, and 3 or 4 people will do it. And I think that next generation of tool, like the Zap, where it's going to be just on the side of the screen, or for me, that the emoji, where I'm going to be able to say, I love it, I hate it, instant feedback, so I can like bring up a thumbs up right now.
Yes.
We're waiting for that. So Teams has it now, and if someone loves something, they can hit the heart and it pops up on the screen, and I love it because it's instant feedback. But if they have a question or they're like, what? They can put up a hands up, like, what are you talking about, teach, or leader. And to me, that's more valuable because it doesn't disrupt. I don't have to go launch the tool and say 33% of you don't get it.
Right.
So I look for, I'm not happy yet either.
Okay.
They're more like hacks. I will yell as soon as I see it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because that I often think it's me. I'm like, I must not be explaining something, because then if I only get 20% of the group to respond, then it's pointless.
Yeah. What I love is Miro,
Miro,
because I found that I can teach everyone how to use it within a minute, and I can invite them ahead of time to learn it, but it's organic. And if you guys want to try it, we can try it real quick. But basically, I have a question. I can pull you all over to the question, and the kids can, or your students or participants can add their questions. So they don't have to talk if they don't want to. they can highlight. And the ideal is that you create interactions that pull them out of their shyness or
Yes, I
whatever
love
their
that.
problem is, their challenges.
Yes.
But I've done it with kids, adults, and they take over. After 30 minutes, like they're leading, and I love it because I'm like, okay, you guys let me know when you're ready.
Oh, this is good because I think
Yeah.
participation is really sometimes difficult.
Yes, yeah, highly recommend it. Maybe we'll do another session on Miro another time, but if anyone wants to hang, I'm happy to show it. But it's so cool, so easy. I've done it with
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, big companies, and they're like, we can't do that, and I'm like, shh, let's try it, and like they're really happy. Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think someone else was jumping in. I'm going to show you too. So this is the green screen. So I'm going to pull up the green screen. So there's the real office.
Wow, that took like literally like a click
I'm gonna switch
and
to
it
the real
was up.
camera. Yeah. So
That's nice.
there's the real office. Yeah. But the software, that OBS project, allows you to queue in all the screens that we're using,
Love
and now
that.
we're moving around. So I didn't have the plant. The picture was taken last year, so now the toys have changed in the corner. So who else had a question? Anyone? No. You guys want to try Miro real quick, or everyone tired?
No, let's try it.
Let's try it. Okay, so give me a second to set it up.
There is a question while
Yeah,
you're doing that,
please.
Nick. A question came in the chat. Do we all need Miro or just the facilitator? Like
Awesome question. So only one person has to pay for it. And again, it's like $100 a year, and you can invite hundreds of people in there into your document, and you control it, and it keeps the history. So if someone deletes everything, you're able to undelete it, which is really cool. So I'm just going to set up a document really quick. Lil D Philly. I'm going to set it up here. I'm going to turn my screen sharing on. So if you don't want to come play, you don't have to. Where is my screen sharing? Screen sharing. We're going to go here. You're going to see my Betsy desktop. There we go. There you can see all my windows. There's me in the background in OBS. So I just hit share. I can say anyone with this link can edit. So we use this every day with stakeholders. So they come in and review their content. You can assign a password. I'm going to go to sharing settings and say that you guys can also add your names. So I'm going to just put in a big hello here. And I'm going to grab the link, copy board link. We're going to go to Zoom and say everyone. So if you click that link, and just to show you, here's the shortcut version. So either of those links, that will invite you in. And as people click it, you'll notice their little icons will show up here. I have a little yellow circle with a lightning bolt. And if I click that, like I can go over here and I can create a 1 and a 2. But if I go over to the 2, I can say, hey, bring everyone over here to number 2. And you all come over here. So on the left-hand side of the screen, there is a type tool, a sticky note, and a pencil tool. So if we grab the pencil tool, we can draw. And draw a smiley face, some hair. You can see I'm not in design mode. But you can also ask a question. So what would you do ahead of time is set up a question like, what do you guys think about that video we just watched? And what you can also do is, we call it hot and cold, or sticky dots, where you would move a red sticker to things that you like or things that you believe, and a green sticker to things that you don't, or vice versa. But rather than forcing them to type a whole paragraph, you make it more visual or more interactive. So I can go steal one of those if you guys want to see that. But you can draw, we can connect lines together. If I have a screen grab, so I'm going to grab the Philly window over here on my right screen, and I'm going to drag that in. I can grab a web screen, and you can see it comes in really big, but I can resize that. And on my mouse, I can zoom out and I can see you guys working, and I can zoom in. But what's cool is that if I lock that, you guys can draw like, oh, I like that, or I don't like that. Let's change that. So it allows you to interact. There's even stickers. So I can be like, give you a heart. Or, I love that ideal. So very cool. And normally what we would do is have a bunch of sticky notes on screen so people don't have to freak out. How do I create a sticky note? And then you guys can just grab one and start to type in like, what's your favorite color? So you can come all over to the orange sticky notes and type in your favorite color as an example, or what was your favorite tool that you shared? That's a better question. I think you said there was another question. Did I answer it or did I ignore it? Sorry. Oh no, the Miro and the project. Yes. Does it cost money for all the participants? It doesn't. So I can invite you all in and I can leave this wide open so anyone can come back and share it with their friends, spouses, teams tomorrow. I can add a PDF. I can add JPEGs or screens like from Figma or, screen grabs from Camtasia or Snagit, whatever tool I'm using. And there's tools like there's hundreds of templates. So I can be like, let's do a reflection on our meeting that we had last week, or let's reflect on our course. Someone's got a Kanban board. Good. So what's also cool is that you can lock things as a facilitator. So I can be like, you guys can't touch that or can't move that. But you can add notes or, add things outside of it. As a facilitator, you can also have a frame, and I'm just going to make it blue, but I can hide it. So you can see there's like hidden for now. So we've done every Friday, we have an internal meeting where we call it design chat, and we're just sharing, we rotate around the team, and someone facilitated playing Dungeons and Dragons remotely, which is, I thought like, that's terrible. Like we used to play that as a kid, but it was so much fun. He was a good storyteller and he pulled us in and we got to move our characters around and design a character all through this whiteboard tool. So limitless possibilities. Someone created Pictionary inside of it. Yes, it's a really fun company too. Any other questions? We're up that board with you guys in there.
Nothing in chat.
Cool.
This has been an added bonus. Thank you so much. Oh, sounds like someone has.
Yeah, I had a
Andy.
question. Do you need, when the difference between Miro and Figma, I was curious about, because my clients don't usually work with those, but I had a client with a design team that worked with both of them.
Mhm.
And Miro is more for this kind of fun collaboration, whereas Figma looked to me like you were actually making the final versions of things in Figma that were then going to be, they were making websites basically. So Figma
Exactly.
looked to me like you can make a website in Figma and have everybody commented on it and actually collaborate while you're making the actual deliverable, whereas is that something you can do with Miro as well? Make the actual deliverable and collaborate it on, or is it more for just this kind of stuff that we were doing now?
You have a good understanding of it. So Figma is for fine design, like you're designing storyboards, you're designing screens, you're designing the final, what's going to happen in the interaction. You can invite people into it. It has a steeper learning curve. So most of the stakeholders that we've worked with have been afraid of it. Or more challenged. So we found that Miro is, less barriers to get into. So we take our Figma content, move it into Miro, and then they can draw and do whatever they want. And then our design team knows what they're working on. We also do that tracking from left to right. So if I switch over here to my design chat meeting as an example, you can see over the last 6 months how our team has met. And like one of the events that we did internally was around gaming. And, what games did you grow up with as a child, which was a lot of fun. If anyone remembers the Jaws game. And they were able to add notes and stickies and add the things that they want. Another fun one was, from a design standpoint, I'll just pull this up really quick. I've got so many windows open. We'll see if it works. This is some notes from a project that we're working on right now, helping people understand how to do financial management. So like whether I'm a teenager or an adult, never owned a house, how can I learn about buying and what the challenges are of owning a house. So you can see lots of stickies, lots of notes. And if I zoom in, These were all designed in Figma, and you can see some of the interactions that we're experimenting with. So you can learn how to budget, typing in like how much you make, how much your expenses are, and then it will calculate for you whether you can buy a small house, big house, or if buying is not the right time for you. But if I go to Figma, I'm able to see all of the design palettes and all the colors. So they look really similar, but one is better at gathering data or facilitating that meeting, while the other one is, super control, and you've got layers and different elements. So Figma introduced what they called FigJam, which is just like Miro, has that emoji thing, but it doesn't, it's not for design. If I say I'm going to design it, I'm going to go in there. If I'm working with you guys that don't know anything about creating wireframes, I'd be like, let's use Miro because it's a lot easier for you guys to get speed. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Sorry, talking too much.
Is there anything that integrates the whiteboard of Miro and this kind of interactivity as something that you could use within, say, Teams or Zoom? Okay, you just deliver all the slides and then, well, let's play around with stuff. And so as an activity, it might be nice to have some of this kind of advanced functionality and collaboration as part of a virtual meeting. And you may have said something about that, but there was a lot of stuff presented. So
yeah, that's my job. Miro works in Teams and in Zoom through that Zap technology. I don't know what Teams calls it these days, but basically you're able to run it inside the Teams window or the Zoom window. I will tell you, it's been about 6 months since they introduced it. Day one was like, no, it's not going to work. Today it's like, but it's not as, because you're burying it inside of the overhead of those products. It's not there yet where it's perfect. If you're doing some basic stuff like this, it works great. If you want to get more designy, more fine-tuned, you would, have to test it out and see if it works, but it is heading that way.
Yeah, you're always worried about the overhead of somebody learning how to give the presentation at a corporation.
Yeah. Miro has an amazing library. Figma does as well, of like how to and get started. And I would also, as homework, all of you should check it out just to see how they, group their training, because you'll get lots of ideas. As far as like demonstrating how to design something, I don't have a quick, I'm just going to grab this really quick. So if I grab this, unlock it. So like if I had a real screen, I can basically crop this. So I can grab this section here, and if you imagine this being more elaborate, I call this my cheat. So I can grab this part here. I can grab the title. I can grab the lower area. And so this would be a way that I say, hey, team, you take those elements and you rearrange them into what's most important to you. So we want the presentation at the top. We want the overview in between. So it gives them a way to demonstrate their thinking. The other way that we would do it is, give them 4 numbers and say, you vote on which one you want to be in first place, second place. And we look for, how people have voted, and we would size these. So like you could all grab these numbers, and then we'd see, okay, this one got a 1, a 1, and a 2. This one got 2 1s, and look for feedback. So it's just utilizing those tools to pull that data out and giving people the ability or freedom to have some creative power.
Yeah, it'd be great for, that kind of thing, quizzes. And if you knew how to do it, it would be, there's a lot of more richness possible than the typical Zoom or Teams meeting.
Yeah. We, the dot thing, basically we do drag the green dots to things that you love, the red dots to things that you don't get. And that helps us pull data rather than interviewing everyone individually. We get quick feedback from 50 people asking what they love or what they don't love. So if we stop, or we have to wrap it up because they're gonna yell at me. Sorry.
You're doing very well. Thank you for being generous with your
Okay.
time.
We did a project with Moderna where we facilitated interviews with 25 VPs around the world, and they're like, we can't do it. And out of that meeting, it was 2 hours. We grabbed so much data about what was important to them in creating their next generation intranet. It was so interesting, the levels of, they wanted just an easy way to bookmark or find an app, and with the challenges or questions, like where the team was going wasn't, was way ahead of where they need it, and we were able to level set that, and then it gave them more time to get to that where they wanted to be from a technology standpoint. But we were able to save a year of time or a year delay. Like we were able to launch something within 90 days. They made everyone excited and happy, and they were like, you guys are the best, let's keep going. Okay, I'll stop sharing. So I'll leave that Miro board open. I'll put a couple examples in there of the sticky notes. I didn't think to plan that, but I'll also reach out to the L&D Philly team to see if they want to do a Miro thing in the future, and we can do
Excellent.
more hands-on.
Thank
right.
you. Thank you so very much. And Caroline, did that answer your question, what Nick was just sharing, or was that in addition? I see that you did add something to chat. I want to make sure that we did cycle to it. Were you talking about like a specific storyboard for like e-learning, video? What type of storyboard were you?
Yeah, it was for e-learning primarily, just besides the sketching. I mean, I use my iPad now in Sketch to do storyboard, and can use like a keynote presentation to do storyboards. I just didn't know if there was like a quick, I always like to kind of find out about those,
So,
storyboard prototype tips.
I love Keynote and I love sketching on the tablet. I use Miro now because it's so freeing. There's no, like I can invite you in and you can go check it out and add your notes of what you love or don't love. But you can also export each frame as a PDF. So it allows you to take the data or the notes that you had and pull them in. Very cool. My team, because they're working on fine designs, they'll be working with Figma or Adobe XD, was the tool we came from. A little bit easier to learn, especially if you're from the Creative Suite. But Figma does a lot better job in the cloud-based collaboration. But to demonstrate it, Miro.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up because it's 8:35. I wish you all good.
Well, Nick, thank you so very much for your insights, for spending extra time with us, for being generous with your time. We thank you on behalf of Susan and Josh. Thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone who joined us here this evening. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Have a wonderful evening.
Good job using the reactions, people. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.